Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. And a do, do, do. Gotta plop down that chair a different way every time. I'll make 2 videos tonight. I've already made one, the second video. And I love making videos on stuff that there is no other thing even close to it on YouTube. That's great, because usually any topic's got 1,000 different people talking about the same thing. I want to talk about one of the, and I got a list, the link is below, you can read it yourself, all those translations from the ancient Pali. It's an ancient Prakrit in Indo-Aryan language from ancient dead India. These translations are mine and they're copyright, but that's okay, you know, spread it around however you want. It's a list of proprietary declarations about a specific term. In the Greek, the word would be nous. In English, it would be spiritus sancta, well, Latin, excuse me. In English, it would be spirit or soul. And of course, soul is used differently, like Old English, like, there never is soul on the street, governor. Talking about living people, you know, soul was used as a living thing, and mentioned a living thing. And all forms of ancient metaphysics, both Greek and Indian, speak of 2 selves. One is the existential self, or the corporeal self. And the other one, of course, is the ontological, or true self, or the soul. You have the same word in English, Atman, the root for atmosphere, atmospheric, meaning wind or air, literally the animating or pneumatic principle. Not literal air, but, you know, the breath of life. You ever heard of that? Breathe life into a body. In other words, the soul, you know, a dead body or someone who just like drowned, you know, you breathed life into it by giving it CPR and blowing into its mouth. You breathe, you know, the soul came back, you know what I mean. It would be the same distinction, without taking the analogy too far, between the existential self of this radio composed of circuits and batteries and whatnot versus the signal. The signal is not in the radio, but to say that there's no signal, of course, is not a denial. The signal is just consubstantiality. The two are tuned to make a broadcast. Yeah? Very important. Let's talk about these proprietary declarations regarding a specific Pali word, and the word is chitta. By the way, the 10 most important words in ancient Pali are also the exact same words. Take note of this. And these words in ancient Pali are the same words they are in ancient Egyptian. Really, really important ones, like Aten. I think everybody's heard the ancient Egyptian word Aten. Well, that word in Sanskrit is Atman, but in Pali it's also Aten, reference to the soul. The word for chit in ancient Egyptian, same word in ancient Pali, the word chit or chitta, actually. And there's not a single Buddhist out there that will talk about this or knows about this. And let's go over this. Like I said, the list is in the description below. The chitta, or nous, or spiritus sancta. Let's go over these proprietary declarations. Because when Buddhists deny the soul, you can always use a different avenue on them and refer to the spirit, or to the nous, or to the chitta. And the chitta is the only thing that is able to obtain the state of non-clinging, anupadaya. This is immortality, that being the liberated chitta, suvimutta chittasa. Why am I speaking ancient Pali? Nobody knows what I'm saying. Which does not cling, anupadaya, after anything. Majjhima Nikaya 2.265. The chitta, or nous, or spirit, is the only thing which is said to obtain the state of being taintless, or amasava. Chitta is the only thing which is said to obtain the state of amattagama, the realm of immortality. Gathers the chitta within the realm of immortality. This is tranquility, this is that which is most excellent, Majjhima Nikaya 1.436. This is immortality, that it being the liberated chitta, Majjhima Nikaya 2.265. He gathers the chitta inside the immortal realm. There's not a single Buddhist or Buddhist website you'll read this about. This is doctrine. This is undeniable, and Buddhists don't really know doctrine. They don't, and there's not 1 in a billion of them that could read ancient Pali, which is something else very important. Chitta is the only thing which is said to be the basis, or aramanna, for paranibbana, or meaning ultimate nibbana. Said immediately after Gautama's death, Digha Nikaya 2.157. No longer with in-breath, out-breath, when you're steadfast, suvimutta chitta, titta chittata, steadfast within the chitta, illumined and unbound, or nibbana. His chitta is definitely ahu vimutta, thoroughly liberated. I don't need to read the other passages. You could read that in the list in the description below. Chitta is the only thing which is differentiated from the 5 aggregates, Rupa, Vedana, Sanna, Sankara, Vijnana, i.e. the psychophysical. Whatever forms, feelings, perceptions, experiences, consciousness there is, i.e. the 5 khandhas. These to be without permanent suffering, ill, plague, boil, sting, affliction, for, and otherness, empty, shunyata, as selfless, anattata. So he turns his chitta, or nous or spirits, i.e. not an aggregate, not a psychophysical component, away from these. In other words, the chitta is not the psychophysical. For a long time I've been cheated, tricked, and hoodwinked by the chitta from grasping. I've been grasping onto forms, feelings, so on and so forth. I don't need to read the rest of that passage. Chitta is the only thing in doctrine which, when perfected by samadhi or sati, i.e. anamnesis, is said to be steadfast in the soul, titatati, steadfast in the soul, that one is supremely fixed within the chitta. The purification of one's own chitta means the light or jyoti of one's own chitta. Nous is the very soul, Dighanikeya Arakara 2.479. Chitta is the only thing which is said to be the basis or medium for recollection of past lives. Smriti or sati, Platonic recollection, anamnesis, right? He directs the chitta to the recollection of past lives, Dighanikeya 1.81. Chitta is the only thing that's said to be its own foundation with no foundation supporting it. In other words, there's nothing underneath it because it is its own principle outside the psychophysical. The only thing which is compared to the indestructible diamond is the chitta, Anguttara 1.124. They refer to Vajram Paramachita, diamond nous or spirit. I'm getting close here. There's a 17-point proprietary list. The entire noble path itself is said to be both being and ends with the chitta, Majjhima Nikaya 1.197. Followers, as Brahman life is not lived for the sake of gains, honors, or acclaim, nor is it lived for virtuousness or absorptions. The Brahman life is lived for the sole preeminent purpose of liberation, emancipation of the chitta alone, which is the quintessential final core, Majjhima Nikaya 1.301. What is samadhi for? The ultimate retroductive theurgic principle. Samadhi, friends, is for making the chitta sovereign. In other words, liberated of taints and false identification. The only noun in all of doctrine which is said to obtain freedom from nescience, agnosis, avidya is the chitta, Majjhima Nikaya 1.279, with steadfast chitta, perfectly purified, perfectly illuminated, stainless, on and on and on. The only proper noun that is said to obtain the state of emancipation is the chitta. That's the only noun. The only proper noun which is said to obtain the state of, as per the superior paths versus the inferior path, the chitta is the only noun which is to be the basis of the superior path, Arya Chittasa, Anasava, Arimaga, Samagatimaga, Majjhima Nikaya 3.72. I'm almost done here. Chitta is the only thing deemed to be the highest absolute, Majjhima Nikaya 1.298. Emancipation of the chitta is the highest absolute. Purification of one's own mind, this is the doctrine of the Buddha. The purification of the chitta is the Buddha Sasana. Now there's the most important passage in all of doctrine. And doctrine from the 5 Nikayas is, actually it's huge. Depends on what book binding and what pitch font of the books, but they're huge. I have the whole collection. And I translate the ancient Pali. I try not to read anybody's crappy English translations. The doctrine of the Buddha Sasana is purification or Vishuddhya of the chitta. You think that's a slightly important passage. How is it that one, here's another great one, how is it that one is called a Buddha? Gnosis that the chitta is purified, Vishuddhya, is how one is deemed a Buddha. Majjhima Nikaya 2.144, Anguttara Nikaya 1.6. That sounds like the most important passage in doctrine. And the chitta is not one of the 5 khandhas. There we go. The chitta is the only noun which is deemed to achieve freedom from becoming, or bhava. Dignikaya 1.84. My chitta is emancipated from desire, emancipated from becoming, emancipated from agnosis, avidya. Really, really important. The only thing that's ever liberated from agnosis is the chitta. Emancipation, emancipation at last. There exists no more exquisite and perfect thing than this. You see, we don't even have to talk about the word soul, Aten. Yeah? The soul, of course, or the Aten, is the quintessence of one's being. But the noun or principle of liberation and transcendence from agnosis and the psychophysical, rupa vedana sana sankara vijnana, i.e. nama rupa anatati, which is the most repeated passage in ancient Pali, meaning the psychophysical is not the soul. But the only thing that's liberated from the psychophysical is not the psychophysical, obviously. And it says that right there in doctrine. And this is what not a single Buddhist, excuse me while I laugh a little bit, this is what not a single Buddhist on earth knows about, can tell you about, has no, clueless, not a one. You'll not find a single mention of this anywhere on the internet, not a one. Not a one. Facts, logic, and wisdom. Okay? Actually, knowing how to translate that ancient dead language for so many decades, 2 decades is enough, is quite helpful in understanding it. It's actually well over 2 decades. How long has it been now? Damn, I'm 48 years old. It's been like 25 years. Really, more than 2 decades. This is where it becomes really helpful. It's like, people tell you stuff on this topic. It's like, no, you haven't got a clue. What do you mean I don't have a clue? This is what my teacher taught me. It's like, yeah, your teacher's a fool. I actually know what it does say, and it doesn't say any of that stuff. There is no soul in Buddhism. Oh, really? What do you think the basis or subjective principle of liberation is? You know, cosmic oblivion? That's right. It's just like spiritual suicide. You just flush yourself down this cosmic toilet into oblivion. It's nihilism. Nihilism is called Uchidavada, and that's a heresy, by the way. Uchidavada. Sasadavada doesn't mean eternalism, which is what they'll say. Well, that means you just don't believe in yourself. It means perpetualism, perpetual becoming. It should be called karmayana or kamavada. It means worrying about karma, life after life. Sasadavada doesn't mean eternalism. They'll always use that to, well, there is no soul because Sasadavada means eternalism. Eternalism's a heresy. If you believe in the soul, you're preaching eternalism. It's like, that's not what that says at all. It doesn't say that in doctrine. It doesn't translate as eternalism. It translates as perpetualism, i.e. perpetual becoming, bhava nubhava, based in karma. And karma is the belief that you are an agent within samsara and there's no way out. The only thing you can do is create better karma. I'm going to have a better life this life and maybe not so good the next life after that. And that's the Sasadavada. And that's basically what everybody practices over there now. It's just good karma. Maybe, you know, this life sucks. Maybe the next one will be better. There's no way out. There's just hope for better. That's what that word Sasadavada in ancient Pali refers to. So, anyway. You know, it helps to be wise and intelligent and be able to translate this ancient dead language that died thousands and thousands of years ago. Because when someone tries to talk about this topic, I look at them like, you know, they're a brain-dead alien. Like, what are you talking about? You haven't got a clue what you're talking about. It's important to know stuff. It's important to know the truth. Most people just don't care. Well, and I feel better. I blank my brain out, and I concentrate on my breathing, and I feel better, and I pet my dog. Makes me happier. Well, that has nothing to do with liberation, wisdom, or transcendence. If people want to be happier in life, then they should, you know, be put on a Thorazine drip in a hospital, you know, stuck in a pair of adult diapers, and someone turn on the Cartoon Network. You can just, like, sit there drooling on yourself all day long, eating Jell-O, watching the Cartoon Network. That's all people want, and that's not enough. That's not enough. That has nothing to do with transcendence or liberation. What do you get liberated from? You just blanked your brain out. Just put you on a drip, stick you in an adult diaper, watch it on the Cartoon Network all day long. Did I go overboard? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Goodbye. Oh my God.